Welcome to another episode of A&O Connect with Andre and
Omikio.
where we talk about life, love, and relationships.
Yeah. So we live. We back.
Yeah, well, hello everyone. Thank you for those who have decided to take the time out to join us today for another episode of A&O Connect. Some of you know us, some of you don't. If it's your first time, I'm Andre.
And I'm Omikio.
So thank you for joining us today. What we talk about on this podcast is life, love, and relationships. And the topic for today is, how do we stay in the fight, in life, in love, and relationships? It's a question to ask yourself. How do I stay in the fight? Lately I've been talking to several people and just been noticing different things, and some have given up, some have given in, and some are still in the fight. So what helps you to decide which one to take, which one to do?
Yeah.
Which choice to make when faced with life, when faced with love, and when facing relationships? How you decide what's right, what's wrong, what's better for you, what's good for you? How do we decide these things? How do we come to that determination? And do we consider all of the factors? Do we consider everyone involved? Or do we just consider ourselves when it comes time to making those decisions? I'll let you think about that for a moment. Anything, Omikio?
So I guess since we're talking about it, what made you stay in the fight? I mean, 30 years, long time to be, in a relationship, and we've had our ups and downs. So I guess we can start while we're waiting for people to come on, talking about just what kept us in the fight. So go first.
As I've gotten older, I know now that it was God that kept me in this fight, because it is about life. It is about love. It is about relationship. But I also think about, he kept me, but when I felt like I was too weak or too stressed or too stretched to go on by myself, he carried me.
Mm-hmm.
He took some of the weight off.
Yeah.
He took some of the stress off and the strain off. And as he carried me, he allowed me to feel his presence.
Mm-hmm.
And in carrying me, he also allowed me the opportunity to draw closer.
Yeah.
To get a better view, a better understanding, to think differently. As the Bible says, to have my mind renewed and to be transformed and just to do things differently.
Yeah.
How about you?
What has kept me in the fight 30 years? I would have to say God. I would say God too. There are times when I wanted to give up. It was like, this is too hard. This shouldn't be this hard. This should be easy. Or easier, right? But I think about when you're in a relationship, it's not just you by yourself. You're in a relationship with somebody else. Someone who has different cultures, someone who has a different upbringing, someone who may have not just different from an upbringing perspective, but think about religion, think about, all the different entities that come with life. And I have to say, God has been He has been my strength. He has been my source when I wanted to give up on life itself. And He reminded me who I was. And He reminded me that I could count on Him for anything. And every time I felt like I was coming down, He would give me this surge of energy and I would keep pushing forward. So for me, I think I know what has kept me in this thing life, love, and relationship is first and foremost God. And then in addition to that, even just our relationship and the connection as we continue to grow, leaning on each other, trying to understand each other, even when it's not easy, we still make the effort. And I think that's important, right?
Making the effort.
Yeah.
Hmm.
My girl on here, she
Yeah.
said, I'm glad you didn't. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't either. Listen, Miss Walker is on. Miss Walker is on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, as we look around and as we watch the news and as we talk to people, and life has changed
Yeah.
for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say it's because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say it's because of how parents raise or don't raise their children the same way that we were raised. I mean, there's so many factors that could be. But we also have to understand God has spoken.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some things that have been written. There's some things that have been promised. And there are some things that we are going to experience. We are going to have to go through. So that's why the question is, how do we stay in the fight in the midst of those things that we are going to go through, we have been through, and we may be going through right now?
Yeah.
What is your fuel for your fight? How do you stay in it? How do you keep your mind? How do you keep your faith? You know, what strengthens you? What helps you through each and every day when that situation remains and that problem, or we consider problems, seems to not want to let up or change? How do you stay in the fight? I've seen just recently as this week, you know, I've heard of divorces, heard of people walking away from their families, to children. It's nothing new. So as we speak of these things have been happening since before time, and we know these things happen. But when is it going to be enough to give up, to give in? How do we resist the urges? How to resist those forces that cause our minds to be altered and our hearts to be affected to the point of falling out of love with someone? Not respecting life, not respecting relationships, not respecting the very first relationship God gave us, the family. A lot of families have gone separate ways. They're separated into cliques, and we determine based on how we feel if we're going to answer this call or not answer this call from this family member or this person that's supposed to be our friend. We monitor our phone calls. I don't know. It just seems like the love, the care, the concern, the compassion is fading.
Why do you think that's happening? Why do you think it's easier for people to walk away nowadays? I mean, to your point, people have always kind of made a decision to say, you know, I'm not going to be a part of this or whatever. I'm going to walk away from this. But now it's more than ever. It's like you just said, like you had 5-6 stories just this week alone. People just getting up and just throwing their hands up and just walking away. What do you think that is?
Anybody out there can respond to this or collaborate?
Michiko, she's out there. She said, knowing that God is carrying me, if it were not for the Lord by my side with me, where would I be even now? Amen. Where would I be? Where would I be? But think about that. Why? So that's a question for you all. Why do you think it's so easy for people to walk away? Walk away from relationships, walk away. To Andre's point, like family ain't even the same no more. Family don't even want to come together no more. Everybody got their little cliques and who they gonna hang out with. And I remember while I'm waiting for somebody to come, I remember meeting your family for the first time. And I love Andre family because everybody just came together. It was like what you see in the movies, Big Mama house. Everybody coming to grandma's house and eating on Sundays. And I really never experienced that because we had a smaller family in mine. And just to see all the aunts and uncles and grandparents and cousins, the family was so big. And it just really made me feel like this is what it's all about. But now it's like people have given up on that. And it's like that's it right there. People are not invested anymore. People are not invested anymore. And it makes me so sad to hear that people are not invested in family anymore. Michiko, you said, "Man, answer the question with a question." Absolutely. Absolutely. And while we're waiting for that, it just breaks my heart that family doesn't want to come together anymore. And we try to do family outings because I just love to be around family. I think you never know the day, the hour, or the time. And to be not only invested, but intentional about building relationships, loving your family. It's sometimes you try so hard to love your family and they just don't love you back. And so what do you do? What do you do? We're still waiting for Michiko. So go ahead.
I don't know why tonight music is in my head. And say, what do you do? First thing came to my mind is after you've done all you can, just stand.
Just stand.
Stand your ground. Keep the faith. Stay in the fight.
Yeah.
And remember, along the way and through it all, you're still here with purpose.
Yeah.
For purpose, on purpose.
Yeah.
And there's a plan attached to that, attached to your purpose. So keep going, keep moving, and allow your purpose to be fulfilled according to not always your plan, but God's plan. Do your part and allow God to do his and allow your life to be fulfilled.
We had a couple comments.
Yes.
Tosh said, sometimes people walk away because they're hurting. They're overwhelmed or afraid to face the truth. Ain't that something? Others leave because they've outgrown the situation or they don't know how to love the way you need. Ooh, that's good, Tosh. Walking away isn't always about you. It's often about what they're still trying to heal in themselves. That's a mouthful. You said a couple things in there. Yeah. Hurt, overwhelmness, don't want to face the truth or afraid of the truth. They've outgrown the situation. I've tried and I don't know what else to do. I love that you said walking away isn't always about you. And it's not always about that person that you have to walk away from. Not that you don't love them and care about them. Just sometimes you just got to walk away. So Miss Wallace said, I love hard and I'm loyal. And people are not interested in showing love and not selfish. Wow. A lot of people have past hurts and not sure how to love. Once you begin to heal, you grow, and the other person refuse to heal. They want to stay where they are. They want to stay stuck. I will unpack that in just a minute. There's a question that Michiko said, what and when should we, hold on a minute. Let me read that again. Y'all. When should we leave, let go? I spoke with the both of you about overcompensating. I no longer want to stand. Talk to that.
So when to let go?
Yeah. When should you leave and when should you let go? When is it time?
One indication of when you should let go is when it becomes too hard for you. When you feel like you're trying to live someone else's life for them. You're trying to force your care, concern, and compassion on them to a way that they feel it becomes forceful and it's no longer in love. So when things get complicated, when it causes confusion and commotion, that's when it's time to let go. Because that's when it's time to allow God to do the rest of that. But when you're causing yourself, not the person, but when you're causing yourself stress and strain, you are trying to do what only God can do. Is touch that person's heart and create that change in their heart. You can't live it for them.
Yeah. I would also add, when you're stretched so thin, you're exhausted because you keep giving, and they ain't learned. You're stressing yourself out, and I find myself in this situation because I'm like Miss Wallace. I have a big heart, and I want to give, and I'm so generous, and I keep giving, and I see the good in people, and I just want to keep giving. I give of myself so much that it really stresses me out, and I sit and I'm depleted, and I'm like, damn, you ain't giving me. What's going on? I'm giving you the ingredients. I'm giving you the roadmap. I'm giving you the blueprint. All you got to do is follow it. You ain't got to go through all these hardships. I'm trying to tell you what you need to do. And it may not be like I do it, but here, take some of this and go with it. But when people refuse and they tell you they need to learn for themselves, and when they tell you, hey, that ain't gonna happen to me. Hey, you right. That might not happen to you. I hope it don't. I pray it don't. But I am learning, because I have not all the way done this yet. I am learning that I have to let go. I got to pray for, give them to God, give what I can give, and then I got to let it go. Because at that point, it's out of your hands. You've done exactly what you were supposed to do. You've given them everything that you've been able to give them with depleting yourself. You've given it to God. Now it's time for you to let it go. And just like if you know, like I know, I had some hard knocks, and you know what? It only took me one time. Listen, when I had a hard knock, and this didn't feel good. Listen, I learned my lesson real quick. I was like, I don't like this. I don't like how this feels. I don't like what's going on here. So I need to shift really quick, because I don't like how this feels for me. And I don't want to be in this situation. So I will pivot really quickly, because things will not add up. But not everybody's like that. So sometimes you got to let go. Okay, got a lot of comments in here. So let me read the comments. Michiko, keep working on it. Keep working on it. Ms. Wallace said, many people, especially women, want to shelter over help when the other person is not bringing anything to the table. Say that out loud for the people in the back. We will overcompensate. We will overhelp because we see good in people. Why do women do that?
Because you were created to nurture.
Exactly.
I mean, you carry, or have the ability to carry life.
Yeah.
And just with that care, concern, and compassion that you already have, you want to love.
Yeah.
You want everybody to be loved, to feel love. You want everybody to be okay. And that's the nurture in you. That's the way you were made.
Yeah.
And sometimes in life, you know, we can't understand why some women may give up their children or not love the way you may love your children. It's not that they don't have it, but something happened. And there's a void. And sometimes it's connected to rejection.
Yeah.
which is the denial of love.
Mm-hmm.
So now the very thing I have inside of me has been inactivated to a certain degree. Because now I still have that same void.
Right.
Or something has happened where I need to be loved, where I need to be okay, where I need to feel secure. So it's an expectation that I give something that has been, I would say, paused on the inside of me. Because now I need it too. And now I don't know how to approach it with someone else because I need it from someone else.
Yeah.
It's not that it's not there. That's what I always hear women say. Where are all the good men? What happened? There's so many things that women say in regards to men. But what I really hear them saying is, I need somebody to love me. You know, I've seen other people in relationships. I've experienced not on these social media sites. I've seen realistically, up close and personal, people actually being loved and loving each other. Where is that for me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what people desire. We all want the same thing. We're more alike than we are different. Nothing to do with your culture, your complexion, anything else, your traditions. We are all more alike than we are different.
That's true.
And once we get to that point in life where we realize that, we will always have these difficulties in getting along and connecting with one another, relating to one another. Why do we focus so much on differences? Why do we focus so much on what doesn't look right to us? Or what you don't do according to what I think you should be doing it like? Or we focus so much on negativity, what don't look good, what don't feel good, that we forget about loving. We forget about giving a chance. We forget about being patient. We forget about being kind. We forget about being gentle. We forget about all the characteristics that God is because our hearts are so selfish at some point. We want what we want, when we want it, how we want it. When we have the nerve to put a time limit on it. So sometimes we have to look in that mirror and say, you know what? Maybe I didn't stay in that fight because I really wasn't willing to. Because I didn't give that person enough time to show me who they really were. Because I was too busy trying to transform them to who I wanted to be. So sometimes we have to be careful with other people's feelings while we're trying to tend to our own feelings. Because the other person has feelings too. So you can have that person draw back as well. And you'll never get what you want from that person. It might be the right person, but you might have the wrong approach.
Well, I want to go back to Miss Wallace's comment. She said, a lot of people have past hurts and not sure how to love. That's true. I mean, if you think about, and I can use, our example of, if you have not, you've seen love, but you looking at like, is that really love? Like, so it's not really taught. So if you think about even like our parents, right? My mom got married when she was 15. My dad was 21, or 16, 21. They're 5 years apart. But they got married, but they really taught how to love, how to be in relationships. Oh, they taught, hey, we got kids, we got to start going to work, we got to take care of our kids. But who really teaches how to love, how to unpack? The Bible does. But how many people just sit and teach their children, even if you don't know how to, how many of us go and get help to learn how to do it? So there is an understanding, because you talked about our difference in how we'll look at like, I don't like that. We don't like it because we haven't experienced it. So that's not that's not my upbringing. That's not what I'm accustomed to. So it's different. So instead of people welcoming that, they will look at that as, I don't like that. That ain't right. Because we have our own mentality of what good looks like or what a relationship looks like, instead of really sitting back and trying to unpack and try to understand where that person is coming from. And you never know. I can even talk about our relationship where I've learned a lot from you. I've learned a lot from your upbringing. It's different than mine, but I've learned a lot to take on some things that has helped me grow as I've grown as a woman. So those are things, she said, once you begin to heal and grow, the other person may refuse to heal. And that happens sometimes where the other person may not heal, right? So at what point do you say, hey, you got to heal from this? So go back to what you talked about in our last meeting, where because I was all over the place and I was in my mind, and you was like, hey, we got to talk about this. Like, what's going on? I need to understand what's going on. Now, if I had shut down and I would tell you what was going on, you would have left because you didn't understand what I was going through, and it was difficult for you. So if you think about that, I think that's why some people leave, because it's taking so much out of me, and this person refuses to heal. Do I sit and I keep waiting and waiting and waiting? Or do I say, I can't because this person doesn't want to heal?
Goes back to decisions.
Yeah.
Some people give up,
Mm-hmm.
some give in, and some stay in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody shuts down, they've given up.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Yeah.
It's about decisions. And sometimes those decisions are going to be different. And sometimes they won't match.
They won't.
So you have to live. You have to keep moving. You have to keep living.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you stop loving, but you have to keep moving.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes you have to walk away and still pray. And, when you were talking about the relationships, I think sometimes people are reluctant to have a simple conversation.
That part.
And sometimes that's all it takes is a conversation. But we sit and what we think. We sit in how we feel. We sit and analyze.
Mm-hmm.
We sit and recreate this whole scenario. Probably can make a movie out of it. As we sitting in this thing and recreate a whole situation for you and the other person without even talking to them. And we include them in this as if this is how they feel too.
Right.
Without even having a conversation.
Exactly.
And in our minds, we're saying, well, they must think this. Well, they must feel this way because they're doing, you don't know how they feel. Have you talked to them?
Exactly.
Have you given them an opportunity to release just as you have released? And maybe you both can receive the same thing, come to the same conclusion if you include them.
Yeah.
Don't involve me in something and not include me.
I'm laughing because I would ask him a question that I would answer.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, you involve me, but let me be included too. So stop creating these scenarios and these scenes and going with that as if it's truth for both of you.
Yeah.
Allow me to speak my truth. Allow me to give you my heart and let you know where I am.
Yeah.
But when you don't do that, when you close yourself off and don't have the conversation that needs to be had, sometimes you miss out because you're thinking too much, you're analyzing too much, and you have convinced yourself this is how it is. And it may not even be like that.
So it's funny because at work, I use this pause model when I am assuming things and I'm getting charged and I'm misunderstanding. I'm paused to say, hey, pay attention to how you're feeling right now, right? Why are you assuming? What are you assuming, right? Because that's what we do. We go to this point of we start, because we're so intelligent and we are so, God has created us to be brilliant beings. But sometimes we just need to pause our thinking just for a moment to get an understanding, seek to understand, and then examine your own thoughts. I just gave y'all a pause. I didn't go in too much detail, but listen, sometimes we got to pause and really bring in, to Andre's point, including that person in the conversation. It's all about communicating. I want to read Tasha's comments because this is good. So she said, just my thoughts. Love clouds logic. Ooh, girl. Is it love or is it lust? I gotta ask, because we think we're in love half the time. And sometimes I have to ask myself, because I've done this, so I'm guilty. I am so in love with this person that I don't love myself. And I'm doing some stuff that I would normally not do. But what is it that I'm attached to? Is it the person? Is it the intimacy? What is it that is allowing me to go against the logic that God has given me, the intuition that God has given me? What is it that is so good that I sell everything for this person? I jump, he jumped over the bridge, I'm jumping right with him. Why? What's happening there? Ty said many women see potential, not patterns. Listen, that potential, don't let that cloud the patterns that you see, is what I'm going to say. Do not let the potential that you see in that person, if they ain't putting no action toward the potential, I can see it all day long, but if they ain't putting no action towards it, I'm going to be paying attention to patterns. And in your potential, if it ain't matching, then I got to make some, go back to the choices. I got to make some choices. Ty said they hope their loyalty will inspire growth. Girl, loyalty, they ain't loyal. I'm just going to say that. Others say because of low self-worth, fear of being alone, or past trauma that taught them to accept less. Amen, amen, amen.
Can I speak to that?
Yes. I didn't want to speak to that.
Okay, let's go back to potential. Sometimes it's not potential you see. Sometimes you've been deceived.
Ooh, talk about that a little bit more. I'm going to need you to break that down. Come on.
You've been deceived because there's a void.
And
because there's a void, you will see what you want to see and how you want to see. Because now you feel this person is here and you want to keep that person because now you feel that void has been fulfilled. So you will ignore what you really see and you will take a small piece of something and create a big picture out of it and call it potential when you're really operating in deception.
Deception.
So if you see something that's not coming to pass, if you see something that person can't even see and won't even acknowledge,
wow,
that's not what it is. You've been deceived.
Right.
Because you have willed yourself into something because you feel you need something.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a desperation. Sometimes you've been praying, you think God sent this person. But the enemy has his ways too.
That's true.
And he will send something to make you think it's something, to keep you off the course that God has you on. And you'll accept it. You'll deal with it. You'll continue to go through years of stress, strain, frustration, and wonder what is going on. And then you'll even turn the thoughts to yourself. I'm a good person. I do this. I do that. You have a whole list of I do's. And he still don't and won't. So you have been deceived into thinking God sent that to you. So don't think of potential. Think of purpose. Is he fulfilling the purpose that you have desired in your life? Because God has a purpose and a plan for us.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything about our potential.
Right.
Because God gave us intentional.
That's right.
So change your wording, change your thoughts, because you can see potential in anything. I can see potential in a broke down car. If I put some new tires on it, if the tires are flat, it still has potential. It's still a car. It might work if I do what I need to do to it for it to work. So anything can have potential. Anyone can have potential, and we all do because we all have purpose according to God's plan. But are they there to fulfill that purpose?
Yeah, I love that you talked about that, because we will give, and that person has not changed, and they're not going to change. That's just who they are. And yeah.
A perfect example of taker meets giver. That's the relationship.
It is. That person
taker meets giver.
Yeah, that person, because you are that giver, right? That person is going to take and take. As long as you give, that person is going to take. Watch. I think you said this in a couple episodes before. Why should I change if you accepting whatever I give you? Why would I change? You know what? Oh, she see the potential in me. So as long as she see that potential, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'll get there one day. All right, Tosh, I'm going back to you. You said when you're taught to pour from an empty cup, you forget you deserve to be poured into too. I'm learning that too. My cup, I refuse to let my cup now be half full. I need to give from the overflow. My cup needs to be full at all times. And whatever I give out, y'all get the overflow. I am no longer pouring from my cup because my cup has to stay full. In order for me to be whole, in order for me to be the wife that I need to be for my husband, in order to be the servant I need to be for God, I cannot allow my cup to even get this much empty from the top. No, you get the overflow. They should be getting the overflow of your blessings, the overflow of your efforts, not what you have. So, hey, sis, good to see you. Tanya. All right, Miss Wallace said, we're not taught how to love and what our love language really is. That's key too. Not able to really communicate to the point of understanding. That's deep because I think even in our relationship, we have learned that the way you need to be loved is not the way I need to be loved. And sometimes what people will do is they will love you the way they want to be loved. And I'm like, hey, that don't speak to me. Like, you got to be able to know what speaks to that person that you with. So I love that you said that. But again, when you're not taught that, like when you're not taught it, how do you learn? And I'll say this, because people say, you know what, I ain't grow up like that. I ain't have access to that. I just, here's how I grow up, but this is my mindset. It ain't nobody else's mind. I didn't grow up with some things, but I made up my mind to say, you know what? I didn't have X, Y, and Z, but I want it. So how do I get it? So we got all these resources. We got therapists, we got books, we got all these resources that teaches us how to do these things. The main resource you got is the Bible. It tells you how to love. But again, breaking that down, connecting with people, real, true, genuine people who will pour into you off of the overflow, right? Don't sit in, I didn't have X, Y, and Z growing up. A lot of us didn't. But you have to make up your mind and say, you know what? I need to pivot because I didn't get it then, but I know what? I'm going to get it now because this is what I want. This is what I desire. There you go. I sought after what I was missing. That is so, you seek it. Just like you seek God, you seek what you're missing. Listen, our parents ain't know no better. They did the best they could with what they knew how to do. It is what it is. Do we wish they could have done better? Yes. Do I wish I could have done better for my kids? Yeah. But you know what? I'm trying to teach them, listen, you may have not gotten this when we was growing up because, hey, we did the best we could do. But now this is available to you. So do something different because you have the opportunity now to do it. Or, like Andre said, you can make a choice and say where you at. And that's fine too. That's fine too. But don't say just because, don't use the excuse of, I didn't have this growing up to say, I can't change that now because we still have the opportunity to change whatever we want. We are so intelligent as a human beings that we can do whatever we set our mind to do. I've seen it, I've done it, and I've experienced it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm sitting here listening to not being taught how to love, not knowing how to love, not understanding love. If we just allow God's space in our hearts and our minds, He will lead us to those things, to the understanding. He will reveal those things to us. And one problem that I see is, and I'm guilty, we don't take our time with love or with seeking love. We don't get to know people. We don't get to understand people before we commit. Take some time to get to know who you're dealing with. Don't deal with them first, then try to get to know them. Get to know them first. And then you can see if this is a match for me. If I can truly love this person, or if this person truly loves me. Because in getting to know someone, you only can hide the newness of meeting someone for only so long.
Right.
The true person will continue to want to come out, but they'll be careful in the beginning. But the more time you spend, the more the truth comes out. But you have to have your eyes open and not just your heart available.
Yeah. Ooh.
You have to have your ears open and not just that void ready to be filled.
Ooh.
So you have to be watchful. You have to be mindful. Get to know them. Watch carefully. Listen carefully. People tell you who they are without realizing they're telling. Just let people talk. And they tell on themselves.
Exactly.
Sometimes you don't have to ask questions, which I recommend you ask questions, but sometimes you just have to listen. Don't get to a point in life where you're so tired of trying that you say it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
We're going to get through it. We'll be fine. It's just this. Don't lose before you even start. So sometimes it's on us.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not about that person or the relationship that we've been struggling with for years.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to go back to the beginning. And the blame is on us, really. Because I didn't take time to get to know this person. And if I had, I wouldn't be with this person, because now I see what I see and I know what I know.
Exactly.
But now you've invested all this time, all these years, children, the strain, the struggle, the abuse, the infidelity, whatever it may be. And you didn't have to.
Right.
So let's take our time. Respect ourselves. Respect our time. Respect our worth.
I want to talk about that void you talked about, because sometimes, because we do have a void from whatever the situation is, trauma or anything like that, you name it, whatever your void is, we try to fill that void by any means necessary and anybody necessary. And we really don't take the time to really get to know them. I love what Michiko said. She said, wow, I never looked at potential like that. Potential for me, I saw in him what he didn't see in himself. That is potential. You see in that person something they don't see in themselves. You say, I'm not in that relationship with him anymore, but y'all just taught me it was deception for too many years. OMG, I will see it, and it will not take long ever again. That part.
To God be the glory.
Listen, when you learn from it, when you say, okay, I know what this is now. I know how to spot this now. Yeah, you're going to do some different things than what you did in the past. And there's nothing wrong with seeing potential in somebody. But you know what? Getting to know them, diving deeper. You know, I can see the potential in you from here. I can see that you can do all these things, which you don't see in yourself. I can see that in you. However, I ain't going to be so caught up in your potential that I don't see any actions. Because, honey, y'all know.
Because potential don't equal promise.
It don't equal purpose either. If they ain't doing nothing about it, you can see potential all day long, like you said about that car.
All it equates to is passion.
That's it. Passion, and sometimes I'm gonna say it again, lust. That's what it is sometimes. Just call it what it is. We get so hooked up. And I go back to Tasha's comment that she said, right? She said, love clouds logic.
No, deception clouds logic.
There you go.
Because it's not
deception.
Love is what you're seeking. So you think that's what you see, but you're experiencing deception. But you call it love because that's what you want.
Yeah.
And you'll keep labeling it love. And that's what keeps you connected, the label you put on it.
Yeah.
And as long as you keep calling it that, and that person knows that you think that's what it is, they know where you stand.
Yes.
and they don't have to do anything different
Mm-hmm.
or anything more
Yeah.
because you've already labeled what you think that is.
Mm.
So you've already told them
Mm.
without telling them where you stand,
Amen.
and you're going to continue to deal with what you're dealing with because you think that's what it is.
Mm. Hey, Chanel. Hey, Tanika. Listen, sometimes you got to wake up. And here's the thing. Don't be so hard on yourself if it took you a little while to wake up. Because when you wake up, when you know better, you do better. Or you should anyway. When you know better, you do better. When you see it, again, when you can spot it, you need to say, okay, this ain't what I want. This is not what I need. And this is not what I deserve. We deserve so much more than what we receiving or what we are accepting. Stop accepting the bare minimum. Stop accepting scraps that people are just throwing at you. Like, you better take this because this is the best you're going to get. Absolutely not. There is more. God got more for me. And guess what? I will sit by. Listen, if I wasn't married, I'm married. But if I wasn't married, I will sit and be. Listen, if I know what I know now, they couldn't touch me. What? No. If you ain't coming with correct, if you're not coming with the purpose that God gave you, don't stay over there. Play with them. Don't find somebody else. Come.
You all right?
Listen, y'all know I get passionate about this stuff. Y'all know I be going in.
And don't take these comments to heart in a place of, I'm saying you're not going to go through some things. It's not ever the right person.
Right.
You have to live. You have to learn. You're going to go through some things. Things change. Time changes people. So it's going to be some struggles.
I think.
But what I'm saying is,
okay,
be aware of how tired you are. Be aware of the struggle, the stress, the strain. Be aware of what you have lost personally in trying to connect and relate with someone.
Yeah.
Be aware of purpose. Be aware of the plan. And be aware of if that person is adding value to your life. If the fight is worth fighting. So I'm not saying you're not going to have any problems, any issues, because we have.
Oh, yeah. We had a lot.
But until we go back to the beginning of this thing and trust God with our minds, with our hearts, with our lives, we won't have the understanding. We won't receive the revelation. We won't receive the confirmation. And we won't find that peace that we find in his presence, trying to fill that void with another person that also has voids, that also has issues, that also is seeking something, or may have given up already, or given in already. And it's very difficult and impossible to deal with someone that's already given in and given up. What do you do with that? But you try and try and try. You try to love them out of that situation.
Love them from somewhere else. Listen, I will say, like, and again, when you're in a relationship, you're going to go through some things. And both people have to be willing to change. They have to be willing to work on it. They actually, Ashley, my daughter, she asked about relationships. She asked, should it be, is 50-50 fair? And I said, well, I believe in 100 and 100. Like, I want to bring 100% of myself. And I expect my husband to bring 100% of himself. Because anytime we got 50-50, then it's like, okay, where your side at? Where your money at? Where your side?
Where's the other 50 at?
Where the other 50 at? What's going? No, we're not doing that. I'm bringing 100% of my love. I'm bringing 100% of my finance. I'm bringing 100% of me to the table, right? So I go back to scripture. Faith without works is dead. Anything, I can have faith in God. I can have all these things, but if I don't put the work in, relationship requires work. It should be easy, but again, you dealing with people who are different minds, different thoughts. We're all unique, but our differences make us better. We compliment each other, and y'all see I'm hyped. I'm always passionate. He calms me. Like, if I'm in a restaurant and my food ain't right, I don't even say nothing no more. I let him take it because I'm gonna be on 10, like for real. And he's like, I got this. I'm like, all right. So we balance each other, but we have to work to get where we are today. And we had to be invested, wanting to do this. Both of us, not one or the other, both of us. We had to be intentional about each other, intentional about the relationship, intentional about doing the work, and intentional about having the conversation, even if it's a tough conversation to have. You put in, each person got to put in what they want out of it, is what I'll say. And everybody should be accountable. If you want a relationship to work, everybody needs to be accountable. All right, I see some comments in here. Hey, Nick, how you doing? Absolutely, Miss Wallace, 100%, 100%. You have to have balance. You have to have balance. All right.
All right. How do we stay in the fight in life, love, and relationship? That's where we started. How do we stay in this fight? Is it about winning? Is it about losing? Or is it about fulfilling purpose? Because with or without somebody, you still have purpose.
Yeah.
There's still a plan for your life. God has still given you something to contribute to the world, for your life, and for the sake of Him being glorified. You weren't created just to breathe, just to be here.
Yeah.
Never let another person take so much energy, take so much worth from you that you feel like every day you just wake up and you feel robotic. You feel like you just going to work, I get off work, I give me something to eat, I go to bed, I go to work, I get off work, get something to eat, go to bed. Don't live your life like that. Because out of all that, there's still purpose.
Yes.
And somebody is counting on you to fulfill your purpose. Somebody needs you. And I think about believing in God, if that's what you choose to do. It takes more than that. Believing, you have to trust. And trusting, you say, I will follow. And that's where the bridge, that's where the gap is. A lot of people say, I believe in God, but we're not willing to follow. Because following takes some action. There are some requirements. There are some giving up some things.
Yeah.
Giving up some people.
Yes.
What the disciples do.
Yeah.
He said 2 words as he met them, as he encountered them. Follow me.
Follow me.
They dropped what they were doing, not even knowing what the outcome would be. Not even knowing where they were going to be led. But they knew there was something to it.
Yeah.
They dropped what they were doing and they followed him. So there's a belief, there's a following, there's a trusting. But more importantly, there's an obeying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of us don't want to obey.
Yeah.
So we want to put our faith out there as if we're so religious. We've been in church 20 years, 30 years. We say all these things. And no one can take away what you believe.
Right.
But God knows if you're following or not. He knows if you're obeying or not. So it may look good on the outside.
Yeah.
You may know 55 scripture to quote every time you talk to somebody. You might post a prayer on Facebook every day to make people think that you are somebody you're not. But God knows. So until we get back to the basics, until we get back to really believing, churches aren't the same. Family is not the same. Relationships are not the same. People don't seem to care as much as they used to. Not willing to fight as much and as long as they used to. Our children are not the same. Younger and younger, they get more and more disrespectful. They seem to know more. And it's just so different. And this is just me speaking from what I see. We have to get back to when Grandma took us to church.
Yeah.
When we really were invested and involved. When we really felt the presence and the spirit of God. We really were moved by something other than our emotions and our feelings and our thoughts and our intentions. We really have to check our hearts.
Yeah.
And realize sometimes us being selfish is why we can't receive what we desire to receive.
Yeah.
Where we're not receiving what we want God to give us.
Right.
Because we're not following like we think we are. We're not obeying like we think we are.
Yeah.
So we think just saying we believe is good enough. That's not good enough.
It's more than that.
We have to surrender. We have to let go of some things. Even though it may be hard, You may be used to certain stuff, certain people, certain things, but is it adding value? Is it aligning with your purpose? Some of us need an alignment. You ever driven a car that wasn't aligned properly? It's swerving to the left, it's swerving to the right. You don't know which way it's going. That's how God sees us sometimes. He don't know which way we're going.
Yeah.
We say one thing and we do another.
Yeah.
So let's check ourselves. And if we need an alignment, let's get back aligned with God. Let's get back aligned with purpose.
Yeah.
Let's get back aligned with plan so our families can survive.
Right.
Let's get back healthy spiritually and physically and mentally and psychologically. Let's stop being so distracted with our differences and our difficulties and the pain that we've experienced. Because just if you've experienced pain, somewhere along the way, you probably caused some too. And somebody may still be struggling with the pain you caused that you're unaware of. So let's stop taking things so personally as if we are that special.
Yeah.
And God created this thing just for you to go through by yourself. Someone else has experienced the very same thing.
That's right.
Because God is no respecter of persons. He said we're going to go through some things.
Yes.
There are going to be some people that hurt you. But you allowed them in, not God. God didn't send them. You allowed them in. So stop blaming people for your decisions. Know God more, know God better, do better, and choose better. So your life can be better. So let's get back to being healthy spiritually and physically and mentally.
Yeah.
Let's seek God. Let's wake up every day with our mind and our heart stayed on God so we can at least have hope when we go through some things, when we encounter some things. We can keep the faith. We cannot blame people. We cannot have pity parties. We cannot get so distracted and distressed. And I'm going to let it go right there.
You know what? I love that you took the time to talk through that because that was needed, right? Evaluation. You need to evaluate the people in your life. You evaluate the things that you are doing. You need an evaluation. Are you right in line with God? All the things that Andre just talked about. Are you surrendering? Because most times we try to figure things out ourselves with our brilliant self. We try to figure it out when we ain't got to. He's sitting and he's waiting for us to come. He's right there. Like, if you just move out the way.
Sit down.
If you just sit down. And I know you all see these things where we talk about our plan and then God's plan. His plan is always bigger than ours. If we just move out the way and allow him to do what he needs to do in your life. All right.
Any more comments?
Just solidifying with us, just kind of, coming with us. But we really, really enjoy coming and just having conversations and, talking about things. We're hoping that we are helping at least one person. I mean, we really are just here sharing our experiences, life, love, relationships, and we're just feeding into you. So we will be back in 2 weeks. But before then, if you want to contact us, you can see our email address. I'm not sure if you can see it really well, so I'm going to put it on the screen. You have our email address. It's anoconnect@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us on any of our social media handles. So we're on Facebook, ANO Connect. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. And we're on YouTube. So definitely we're here. You can always email us outside of the time that before we come live. We will answer your questions. We'll reach out to you. We'll make a phone call. We don't mind. This is what we're here for. We're trying to walk in our purpose that God has given us, and that is to help with life, love, and relationships. I'm gonna turn it back over to you, sir.
I just want to say one last thing. Live your life, even when life don't seem right.
Yeah.
And I say, remember,
we're better together.
We love you all. God bless you, and see you next time. Thank you for tuning in.